Well, guess what? Just hours before this Democratic National Convention is set to kick off, there's a compromise now that's been reached between supporters of Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders regarding the role of superdelegates. Specifically, a unity compromise would give elected leaders the ability to cast their convention vote for whomever they choose, but the rest of the state's delegates would be bound to the primary and caucus results. So let's talk about this again with former chairman of the Washington, D.C. Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton supporter A. Scott Bolden, along with DNC Platform Committee member and Bernie Sanders supporter Nomiki Konst. Thank you both for sticking around for us. Nomiki, I want to start with you. Do you believe that the superdelegate decision is going to be enough for Sanders supporters?
It's a good question. I think that Bernie Sanders, who has won pretty much half the party support, did not get enough out of what, I mean, I have to be honest here. I think that there's so much that could have been done, so much leverage that could have been used, so much negotiating, and from the way that the speakers were laid out, very few people have been Bernie Sanders speakers. The dais of both the Platform and Rules Committee is stacked all with Hillary Clinton supporters. I mean, this is compromise, but it is only one area where they've been willing to compromise. And quite frankly, I think we should just eliminate superdelegates. I mean, elected officials are elected officials, and they have a lot of strength in their own communities. They don't need to be propped up. I mean, one superdelegate equals over 10,000 votes. You know, those are 10,000 people who go out there to the polls and are invested in their communities, and one superdelegate should not be weighted that way. I mean, and they're mainly male and they're mainly white. And so when you look at the elected officials of the Democratic Party, that's exactly what they look like too. It doesn't reflect the Democratic Party itself.
There are a lot of those arguments are being held on both sides of the aisle. But Scott, I want to go ahead and
yeah, please, because listen, Nomiki and the Bernie Sanders supporters, that's fine. The Democratic Party has a big tent and has welcomed them in. But 48% simply isn't the majority. You want to change rules, you want a party that is more progressive, then you win. He didn't get enough votes, he didn't get enough states, he didn't get enough delegates, and so now the party has acknowledged that Sanders has brought in these people, but you don't get to change or dictate the rules. And the compromise on the unity, let me finish, can I let you finish? Please let me finish. My goodness gracious, do I get to talk at all? Do I get to talk at all on the show?
Go ahead, Scott.
You didn't get the majority, and that's how the Democratic Party and the political process in this country works. Now, we have acknowledged the supporters. We have compromised with the unity piece. We have even allowed other progressive platforms, planks in the platform, and that's what you get when you come up short. But if you want to change the rules, if you want to lead the party, then you win. And Bernie Sanders did not win. Hillary Clinton did win. Fall in line, and let's go beat Donald Trump.
Okay, so Scott, let me ask you this.
Okay,
Bernie
so
Sanders
I have to respond to this.
Okay, Nomiki, go ahead, and then I'm going to ask my question.
Respond to this. This is exactly the problem. When you treat Bernie Sanders supporters like they're outsiders, like they came to the party yesterday. I've been a lifelong
We're treating you like you're insiders. Everything I said was about you being an insider.
Let me finish.
We brought you to the table.
You know what? This is the problem. Hang on a second. You brought us to the table because we won half the party. When Jesse Jackson came in with much fewer voters, he got massive reforms in the party after the contested convention. When Ted Kennedy was challenging our sitting president and he went in and he had a contested convention, he had massive counter reforms to the party. Bernie Sanders has 46% of the vote, and Hillary Clinton's campaign has not given him any concessions
Win the
after
nomination
the
and you get
Democratic
what you
Party
want.
stacked. But that's not how this works.
Win the nomination and you get what you want.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me jump in here. We understand that. So Scott, let me ask you, because you say she didn't get the majority. But let's face it, Sanders has got a huge following. He's got a huge push behind him. He has endorsed Hillary already. The question is, do you have any concern that there might be some version of, say, a Ted Cruz speech tomorrow night based on some of the things that Nomiki is bringing up and this WikiLeaks?
Well, I certainly hope not. Here's the thing. Bernie Sanders has endorsed Hillary Clinton. The Hillary Clinton people have done outreach. They've met at the table. They've been on the Rules Committee, and they've had these ongoing inter-party discussions that's really actually pretty normal. I'm a former chair, so I know. And so we appreciate their activism and all the value that they brought to the table. So no, I don't think he's going to be a bad Democrat. He's going to be a good Democrat so long as the discussions continue to go forward. And you're going to continue to see some managed, negotiated concessions or discussions between both sides. Because in the end, The Bernie Sanders really have nowhere else to go but to stay within this party. They're not going to Trump. They're not going to the Green Party or the Libertarian Party. And so that's
Well,
why
they
they are
may be.
at
We
the
don't know
convention.
we don't know
No
where they're
one is
going.
walking
That's not
away
true.
from this convention, unlike the Republicans. And you can say what you want to say. The bottom line is we're all great Democrats. And while we may be contesting some issues on an intra-party basis, the bottom line is we've got to defeat Trump. Nomiki knows that. The Sanders supporters know that. And Bernie Sanders knows that as well. Look for him to endorse. Look for there to be more concessions in regard to rules and to get more progressive platforms. But we're going to win in November, and everyone under the Democratic tent knows that.
So Nomiki, with all of that said, real quickly, we know that there are protests being planned by Sanders supporters. Do you think it is important for Sanders to come out and try to thwart that or talk to those people to try to bring some unity to this party going into this DNC?
There's all different types of Sanders supporters. He represented several movements, and I think a lot of these movements feel like they haven't been heard. And I really encourage the Clinton campaign and Tim Kaine, Senator Kaine, to listen to these people, to get down on the ground, because they're not going to fall in line. This is a year when our party has basically said, we've had enough. It is time that we change the way that we function. And I think it's really important for the Clinton campaign to reach out to these people, to get down on the ground, hear what they're saying, listen to what they're saying, feel what they're saying, not just value symbolism by putting somebody on stage that represents their values. You really have to connect with them.
Okay.
And quite frankly, the choice of Senator Kaine was not an indication. Quite frankly, what happened in the Rules Committee yesterday was not an indication. They have a lot of work to do because we don't just fall in line anymore. That's not our country.
Okay.
We've really moved on. The party is 70% more progressive, and we have to reflect that.
All right, A. Scott Bowman and
And the
Nomiki
party
Khan.
reflects that as well
A
already.
fiery debate here. If you were not awake, I'm sure you are now watching this. We appreciate both of your voices. Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you for having
Thank
me.
you so
Of
much.
course.
All right, Nomiki.
Yes. And listen, see, no hard feelings,
See you on
right?
the floor.
There is a programming note.
Absolutely.
Keep the punches to yourself,
See you on the
people. That's
floor.
right, when you see each other on the floor. I do want to give you a programming note here. Bernie Sanders is joining Jake Tapper on State of the Union this morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. That, of course, is right here on CNN.